Hi everyone, it's Jackie from Vegan Yack Attack, and I'm finally back from my little break of videos, and I have a brand new recipe for you. If you didn't see, last week I actually posted a wonderful roundup on my blog of low effort recipes by some tremendous Black creators, food bloggers, Instagrammers, influencers, etc. That is just an amazing list. You will drool over it. So I'm going to include that link in the description as well so that you don't miss out on that wonderful content. And if you missed my community post a couple weeks back, I also suggested some more YouTube accounts that aren't included in that post. So before I get started, I just wanted to tell you all about that. And especially with the few weeks that we've had here, very tumultuous, obviously, and causes definitely worth supporting here. So please go check out those posts, and all ad revenue from my roundup page will go to ACLU. So I'll make sure to keep everyone updated once I'm paid out in 3 months from my ad provider. That being said, let's get to today's recipe. We are going to be making some delicious and super simple strawberry oat popsicles, and in this case you're not even buying pre-made oat milk or anything like that. We're literally just using very accessible ingredients, pantry staples plus lemon, and then frozen strawberries for this to kind of like expedite the situation, which I'll tell you about in a little bit. But all that you'll need for this recipe are some rolled oats, not quick oats, just the rolled oats, some vanilla extract. You need some agave nectar or maple syrup will work, or pretty much any liquid sweetener that you want to use. And the measurement will vary based on how sweet the frozen strawberries end up being, basically. Then you just need a little bit of salt, your frozen strawberries, like I said, and some lemon and water, of course. Let's get started. First, what we are going to do is add these rolled oats to the blender. I don't think that this should be done in a food processor, and you'll see why, because we really need these oats to be finely ground in this blender. So now I have 1.25 cups water here. We may need more or less, so I'm actually just going to put in a cup first, blend, and then see where we're at with that. Okay. And now, before we add anything else, what we're going to do is just blend these oats together. If you've ever made oat milk yourself, or even followed a recipe for it, you know that oats can get very gooey once the starch is being broken down within them. And you don't want that for oat milk, but you do want that for these popsicles, because it gives this really nice creaminess without adding any fat from, say, like coconut milk or something like that, which I love using in ice cream because it makes incredible ice cream. Just made some Rocky Road with it the other day, actually. So first, we're going to just blend the crap out of this. It's going to take a couple times, really. So I'm going to let this set for a couple minutes, just kind of like how I do with raw cashews that haven't been soaked for like some of the dressings and things that I've made so far. We want the oats to absorb as much of that water as they can. Now that they're broken down, it's gonna be a little quicker and it won't take as long. So I'm just gonna leave that for a minute and address why I have 2 separate things of frozen strawberries here. So this one is what's going to go in the oat base for the popsicles. And then here, I'm just gonna slice these a little bit to kind of stick in the popsicle molds and make it a little cuter than this beige rosy color that the popsicles end up being. And speaking of popsicle molds, these are the ones that I have. They hold 3 ounces each, and the way that I measured that was by filling them with water first, pouring them into a measuring cup like this, and then seeing how many ounces it was. That's just in case it doesn't list it like on the package, or however, maybe you bought these forever ago, so you just have no idea how much volume your popsicle molds hold. So these ones, I have 6 3-ounce popsicle molds. So whatever equivalent you have to 18 ounces essentially is going to get you pretty close to what we have here. And this should be just enough for this. It may change because I'm adding a couple strawberries. We'll see. So now I'm going to put this back here because we don't need them just yet. And blend the oats one more time before adding in the rest of the ingredients. All right, let's give it a little looky-loo here. I'm going to scrape these little bits. It just smells like oatmeal in this blender. Scrape these little bits back in here, along with the sides, to make sure we get all of it. And because the oats that I have are actually pretty thick, yours might not need another blending. It looks like mine just needs one more go around, or you could have just blended for longer than I did. This was like about 30 or so seconds each time. So just to give you an idea of what that looks like, here we have, it's kind of nasty looking, like on its own, but that's what we're working with. It's getting a little goopy, which is not what you want for oat milk, but is perfect for these popsicles. So because there's still some kind of texture to that, I'm going to blend this one more time. Okay, that's definitely some goopiness going on in here. So now we're going to add in the other ingredients, and the reason, well, I didn't blend this for like just infinitely long because it'd get very hot and then it's going to take a lot longer to freeze. And so that's what the frozen strawberries help with, is that instead of using fresh strawberries, you already have cold ice crystals that are going in here. So in theory, that makes the popsicles less icy and kind of hard and crunchy and more smooth because you're already working ice crystals into the mixture. Okay, we have that. And then here's our agave. I'm going to add in just a 1/4 cup first and see if that's enough. If it's not sweet enough, I'm gonna add that last tablespoon. Here we have vanilla extract. And then we have some salt, just to accentuate the sweetness. And lastly, our bit of lemon. You need about a tablespoon or to taste, so about that. That's kind of nice. You can definitely add more or add lemon zest, and it could be like a strawberry lemonade popsicle. That could be really tasty. And then we'll just blend this up. Okay, that's kind of a cute color. Definitely prettier than the first time I made them. Okay, those strawberries are pretty tart, honestly. So I'm going to rinse this off and add that last bit of agave. And you can use granulated sugar in this. I just like using liquid sweeteners in things that are gonna be frozen, because if you're using granulated, you should probably be cooking it to break down the crystals. And like I mentioned before, that gets the mixture hot and then it's gonna take longer to freeze. And I'm a very impatient person. So the shortcuts that I'm using definitely benefit us all. Scrape this down just a tad. And give it another little blend. Okay, Cute. Now it's slightly more ugly now that the oats and strawberries have combined a little bit more. And now we will cut the strawberries, make them pretty, set them up to be frozen. All right, to give these little slice, you may want to wait, like in this case, they've been out for probably like 10 or so minutes. So wait until they thaw just a tad before slicing them pretty thinly, like this. I mean, you could even just slice it in half and stick one in each popsicle. It's honestly not really that big of a deal. Okay. And I was kind of checking on the blender here. What's nice about having one that lists the ounces and milliliters on it is that I can see we are pretty close to that 18 ounces I was talking about. So we may have just a teeny bit or maybe just a little short, but it's gonna be pretty dang close here. All right, so now with these little strawberries, you're just gonna press them against the side and push them down. Oh, I broke that one. It won't really matter. So push them down, but you want them touching the side here. I need to move that one a little bit. There we go. And then that way, when you pour the mixture in, you'll see this cute little strawberry on the outside. So I'm gonna put another one right here. Pretty cute. Go ahead and put that in there. And actually, I'm gonna show you with that one what it looks like when you pour the mixture in, because the rest of them I'm gonna leave in here while I pour it in, but I want you to see this. So here, we have this mixture, we're pouring it in. There's a fill line on these. And since we've been blending it, there might be some air in. We're gonna give it just a little tap, not anything hard. I've cracked these before, getting a little too zealous with it, overzealous I should say. So now you have it tapped in a little bit. There's like a little air pocket there, but it's really not a big deal. So now I'm going to put this in here and pop this in. Try not to brush the strawberries with it as you're going inside. But since they're thin, and that's why they're cut thin in this case, you can just stick the popsicle stick in really nicely without agitating stuff too much. So now I'll be repeating that with the remaining popsicle molds. Now, if you have like frozen peaches or maybe frozen pineapple or something and you want to use that in conjunction with the strawberry, I think that could be great. Or even, I mean, you could probably replace all the strawberry in the recipe with another frozen fruit that you have on hand. You'll just have to adjust the sweetness, like I said. You know, it varies by frozen fruit depending on when it's harvested, and also the type of fruit. Berries are usually a little bit more tart. Oh my gosh. So that's why I add as much sweetener as I do to them. Okay. Pour this in. And if your popsicle mold doesn't explicitly have like a thing that says fill line like mine does, you want to leave a gap of about like a ½ inch at the top, because that gives you room for the volume displacement that happens when you put the popsicle stick in, and then also for the expansion that happens as this mixture freezes. Kind of like what happens with an ice cube, right? Dang! Sometimes it's the little things, man. That's great. I love that that was the perfect amount. So, pop that bubble. Just gonna give this whole thing a little tap. Whoop! And then place in the popsicle sticks. So now what we're gonna do, since this mixture was not super warm, it was still cooler than room temperature, but not like super cold. It's gonna take about 5 hours probably to freeze until you can pull them out of the popsicle mold. Just to make it easy, you should probably just make these the night before you want to enjoy them and freeze them overnight. That way they are guaranteed to be frozen. But I will see y'all in a little bit when these are ready. Okay, so I've eaten dinner, I've played some Animal Crossing, maybe for too long, and now these are just frozen. Like, I was kind of pushing it even when I took them out of the freezer. But I've had them sitting here for a couple minutes. What you should do instead probably is run these under hot water, or warm water rather, for about like 20 seconds. And you'll see that the inside, the popsicle, kind of detaches from the plastic itself. But the same kind of thing happens if you just leave them here. I just didn't want it to be too melty. So that being said, we have our little popsicle here, and this is probably going to be a little softer than if you like left it freezing overnight, because this was about 4 hours that I had them in the freezer. I just had them in the quick freeze part, kind of right above the ice cube maker. I don't know if you have that, but that's where I threw them because I don't want to wait all day to eat these things. All right, now it's the moment of truth. Look at it, they're very cute with these little strawberries. Mmm. It's like strawberry milk, but it's really good. I love these because obviously it was a very simple ingredients list. It really didn't take any time at all to prep them before they went in the molds and everything. The longest part is waiting while they're in the freezer. And now it's hot outside. I can just reach in the freezer and grab one. And when I run out, I could probably just make another 6 or whatever with whatever's in my pantry, and if I have a different fruit in the freezer. So I feel like these are going to get me through the summer a little less painfully, especially here in Vegas. It's super hot. So I'm going to put the full recipe in my blog post. The link is in the description here. And I hope you guys love this recipe. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe, give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you on the flip side.